always liked listening to Ayaka's stories. She had a gift for telling the most terrifying tales, the ones that made you shiver and look over your shoulder. She knew all about ghosts, demons, and curses and rituals. She said she learned it from her grandmother, who was a witch. Ayaka was just like me, a loner. She was strange and beautiful, but for some reason, no one ever seemed to notice her. I guess she was just being bullied. I enjoyed her stories anyway. They were a welcome distraction from my miserable life. I hated going home, where my parents were always fighting and ignoring me. I hated school, where I had no friends and was bullied by the other kids. I hated myself for being weak and worthless. That's why I told Ayaka I didn't want to go home today. I said I was going to stay late at the library till I had changed my mind. She looked at me with pity and sympathy in her eyes. She said she understood how I felt. She said she had something for me, something that would make me happy. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a book. It was old and dusty, with a leather cover and yellowed pages. It had strange symbols and words on it, written in a language I didn't recognize. She said it was a spell book, a book of magic and secrets. She said it belonged to her grandmother, who gave it to her before she died. She opened the book and flipped to a page. She pointed at a paragraph and told me to read it. She said it was a spell that would grant me my deepest wish. She said I had to read it at midnight, when the moon was full and the stars were bright. I asked her why, but she didn't say. She handed me the book and told me to keep it safe. She said she would see me tomorrow, and that she hoped I would be happy. She smiled and left. I looked at the book in my hands. I felt a surge of curiosity and excitement. I wondered what it could do, what it could give me. I wondered what my deepest wish was. I decided to read the spell, just to see what would happen. I thought it was harmless, just a game. I was wrong. I went to the library after school hours were over and found a quiet corner to rest, but I fell asleep. By the time I woke up, it was 11:50 p.m. I decided, since it was already so late, I might as well just stay in school till the next day. I sat down on a table and opened the book. I skimmed through the pages, looking for the spell Ayaka showed me. I found it on page 44. It was written in a weird script, with letters and symbols that made no sense. I tried to pronounce them, but they all sounded like gibberish. I checked the time on my phone. It was 11:55 p.m. I had 5 minutes left until midnight. I decided to try reading the spell. Nothing happened. I put the book on my lap and closed my eyes. I thought about what I wished for. I thought about what I wanted. I thought about being happy, being loved, being free. I opened my eyes and I felt a terrible sense of danger. The lights were off, except for a few emergency ones. The library was dark and empty. All the doors were suddenly chained, and the windows were barred. I was trapped. I panicked. I grabbed my phone and tried to call someone. anyone. But there was no signal, no service. I was cut off from the outside world. I screamed and banged on the doors and windows, hoping someone would hear me and help me. But there was no one, no sound. I was alone. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. I felt a knot in my stomach. I felt a fear in my heart. I realized that I had made a terrible mistake. I realized that I had played with something I didn't understand, that I had unleashed something I couldn't control. I looked at the book on the floor. I remembered the spell. I wondered what it had done, what it had summoned. I wondered if it was too late to undo it, and if I was doomed. I picked up the book and opened it to page 44. I read the spell again, hoping to find a clue, a hint, a way out. I read it out loud, hoping to reverse it, to cancel it, somehow stop it. But nothing happened. I checked the time on my phone again. It was 11:59 p.m. I had 1 minute left until midnight. I felt a surge of hope and desperation. I thought, maybe I just had to break the spell at midnight, not before. I thought, maybe I had to read it backwards, not forwards. I thought maybe I had a chance, a slim chance, to escape. I waited for the clock to strike 12. I waited for the moon to shine. I waited for the stars to align. I waited for the spell to work. And then it did. As soon as the clock hit 12, I felt a jolt of pain. It was like 1,000 needles piercing my skin, 1,000 knives cutting my flesh, 1,000 fires burning my bones. It was the most intense and unbearable pain I had ever felt. It made me scream and rip and convulse. It made me wish I was dead. And then I was. The pain stopped. The screams stopped. The movement stopped. Everything stopped. I opened my eyes and looked around. The library was still dark and empty. All the lights were still off. All the doors were still locked. And the windows were still barred. Nothing had changed. Except for me. I saw my body on the floor, lying in a pool of blood. I saw my eyes wide open, staring at nothing. I saw my mouth open, frozen in a scream. My skin was pale, my flesh was torn, my bones were charred. I saw myself dead. I realized I was not in my body. I realized I was floating above it in the air. I had become a ghost. I had left my body, but not the library. I realized I had bound myself to the library and could never leave. I screamed, but no one heard me. I cried, but no one saw me. I begged, but no one helped me. I was alone, trapped, doomed. Later that morning, the library opened. The staff and the students came in. They saw my body. They gasped and screamed and ran. They called the police and the ambulance. They made a scene, a spectacle, a horror show. Among the crowd of students that were gathered to look at my body in fear was Ayaka. She was the one who gave me the stories. She was the one who told me. She was the one who gave me the book, who showed me the spell. She was the one who pretended to be my friend, who acted like she cared, who said she wanted me to be happy. She was the one who made me do it, who tricked me, who betrayed me. She looked at my body, smiled, and walked away. She left me alone. She left me in the library. forever.